Hello, welcome to the Context Needed podcast. Wednesday today. I'm joined with Ryan and Ollie as usual. If you want to say hi, guys.
Hello. Hi, guys.
There's
all right,
always with the fucking dad joke. I keep seeing a lot of dad jokes now that everyone's stuck in quarantine. There's a lot more dad jokes like creeping through the woodwork, and some of them are like, interesting, and others are just shut the fuck up.
One of my friends is like the worst people ever for dad jokes. So you'll just be sat there, no like prompting or anything. You just go, "Do you want to hear a joke?" You'll be like,
"No," but you're gonna say it anyway.
Yeah, here we go. It's just this shit dad joke.
No, I know, Ollie, you had a little story you wanted to open up with. I do just want to quickly say something before that, because I've been seeing a lot of negativity in my Facebook recently about people basically doing shit like, oh, well, it shows you true friends when you're in quarantine and people aren't talking to you, and it's pissing me off how people are doing that shit. We're in quarantine, stop making it all about you. People have their own shit to deal with. Simple.
Don't want to talk to you?
Yeah.
Simp. Fucking simps.
Anyway, so Ollie, you had a story that you was wanting to talk to us about on Saturday, but we didn't get time to, so if you want to take that away.
Yeah, so I just want to remind everyone that this podcast is brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends.
Fucking no!
We are not sponsored or affiliated with
Shit,
start now for free.
I myself will not say any of my true feelings on the said sport, man. Because if I start properly streaming and I do get sponsored, I don't want to ruin my chances.
I will happily say I'm sick of the. I realise I do have a story, and we'll get onto it in a sec. But I've opened this can of worms, and we're going down this rabbit hole now.
Hello, welcome to my Raid Shadow Legends sponsored beheading.
But it's like I've noticed whenever you watch YouTube on like a smart TV, every other ad is fucking Raid Shadow Legends. It's so fucking annoying, man.
I just find
I don't see the ads. I see the people being sponsored a lot.
Yeah, like the thing that annoys me, some of the sponsorships they are doing, like they don't even correlate. I was watching a guy who does like cooking like stuff, but he's like just really funny the way he does his cooking, and he goes, "But before we make this nice puff pastry, here's an advertiser for my sponsorship, Raid Shadow Legends." How the fuck does that coincide with puff pastry?
Next update is going to be a cooking patch.
Cooking
baked goods, like buff cakes, cheesecake that buff you for speed.
The best bit is I've played that game, and like I'm open to say I think it's a terrible game. Like even if they came to me and said they'd sponsor me, like unless there was a massive change in the game that actually made it interesting, I wouldn't accept a sponsorship from something that I don't think is worth sponsoring. I wouldn't want to put that on me, because if I enjoy it, then I will advertise it. If I think it's shit, if I think it's shit, I'm not going to sell myself out just to make some money off of the thing that I think is shit, because I think that's more of a detriment to my own character than it is to like earning the money kind of thing.
Yes, because we can call you a fucking Raid Shadow Legends simp.
Please,
for Raid,
please,
boys.
Sir, may I have more sponsorship money?
Please sponsor me.
Hey, both.
Please give me those trillion platinum coins on my new character.
Okay, so getting on to the actual story, I'll preface the story by saying, like, I have quite a short tolerance, not for conspiracy theorists, because, like, I'm not saying that every conspiracy theory is potentially bullshit, and there's a lot of interesting ones out there, but, like, things like flat earthers, anti-vaxxers,
oh god,
any kind of conspiracy theory that's just like, yeah, but that, not only does it not make sense, but there's overwhelming evidence that it is not the case, and so I mean, this happened quite a few years ago now, and I might be a bit hazy on the details, but what I do have is screen grabs of the whole interaction. So I'll share that in the Discord after. But
well, you can use them to help with the recollection as well, which will be good.
I can, exactly, yeah. So I don't know if you guys remember, but it was probably about 4 or 5 years ago, there was a conspiracy going around about Planet X, or there was this other secret planet that the government's trying to hide from us, apparently.
Is that the one that was in our solar system? apparently.
Well, I would like to preface this by saying there has been another very, very, very far out ninth planet discovered, but or rather, all the evidence suggests it, and we're pretty sure there's one there. But this isn't about that. This was about A, at the time this wasn't known, and B, this is about some bullshit one that's apparently it appears in the sky and the government hides it. Blah 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 blah. This is the kind of bullshit we're talking about.
Okay.
So I remember seeing this post about this fucking secret planet, and all the evidence was, I think I told you guys about this the other day, was, Ryan, what are you doing? You're pulling faces. You're pulling weird faces, you're distracting me.
I just found video settings on my camera, just ignore me.
Oh god.
Okay. I just saw your camera go weird.
Yeah, hoping there was filters. I was gonna try and pull up some background on me and try and put the earth is flat.
Oh, man.
Don't make me get the soundboard out.
Oh god!
I can't remember the exact details of this stupid fucking conspiracy, but basically, they were trying to say that there was this other planet that's right next to Earth, but the government tries to hide it, and blah 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 blah. And NASA's in on it because NASA is the space administration for the whole world, and there's only one space program, as we all know.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Fuck all those other countries that do things in space. And the evidence was I remember it was a fucking screen grab from some webcam up in a nice scenic mountain somewhere, and it was a sunny day, sun was high, and there was just a lens flare, blatantly a lens flare.
Yeah.
On this camera, and it kind of looked like a crescent light on a planet. Look, that's it. There's it. There's your proof.
It's a lens
flare. So
flare.
naturally, I commented just
that one image.
Have you seen a J.J. Abrams film? Because bitch, that'd be a lens flare.
Yeah, that's really I think there were a couple others. I can't remember exactly what they are, but they were all on that level of just no, that's not what that is, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I commented on it, and I remember I was basically just commented saying yeah, no, that's bullshit. Can you stop? And they started messaging me, and it was this Swedish woman. And
of course.
Hello there, little Ollie.
She sorry, there's a lot of noise outside my window at the moment all of a sudden. So she started messaging me about it. I said, "Oh, you're just hiding. You just can't accept the truth." Blah blah blah. And for a little while, I was like, "Yeah, you're crazy. Seriously, it's just a lens flare. Look at what lens flare is." She kept going. So I was like, "Right, I'm gonna fuck with this lady." And it's probably bad of me because she's. So I was like,
clearly mentally unstable.
So I said, "You know what? I'm sick of hiding the truth. I actually work for the European Space Administration, and we've actually been hiding this for a long time. I had to put on this front in the chat for a while because they usually monitor our chats, and I wanted to convince them that I was trying to tell you otherwise. But now they're not watching. I want to tell you the truth." So
you're a terrible person. Just putting that out there right now.
I'm a piece of shit.
You're an ass.
Crazy people be crazy. So I started basically saying yeah, I work for the government and the space agency, and yeah, it's all true. We're actually hiding it all, blah blah blah. And I said, and she started this is the funny thing. She instantly believed it. No questioning. Just right, yeah, no, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And I started saying we've been way further out into space than we tell the public. We've been into different solar systems and we found aliens and blah 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 blah. And okay, so then I supplied her with proof. Now, are either of you familiar with Space Engine?
Yes.
Space Engine. No.
Yes.
Kyle, it's basically just procedurally generated, mostly procedurally generated.
It's basically like Universe Sandbox, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a planetarium game. You can basically just explore the universe, and it's based on real star data and positioning, but so I'm really tired to say. It's based on real star data, but then it's procedurally generated. But it looks really good, and to be fair, it looks fairly realistic, especially if you're someone who doesn't really look at modern video games and know how convincing renders could be. If you're someone very gullible, like a conspiracy theorist, then it can be quite convincing. So I took a screenshot from Space Engine and slightly photoshopped it to just look a bit fuzzy and scan lines and stuff to make it look more like
you are.
You're such a prick.
And I sent it to her as the proof. And the file name for the image was "You Are Crazy" in Leet Speak as well. And I was like, no, I'm showing you this because it needs to be shown, but don't show this to anyone. And she's like, okay, I won't. And then I was like, okay, I have to go now because in case they find me. And she's like, okay, stay safe. But okay, so you think that would be the end of the story?
It's definitely not.
You should have faked your own death.
Small boy found in a river. Oh wait, sorry, misconception. Young man who was very small found in a river.
So she must have looked at my profile and I was riding motorbikes at this point, and she started sending me fucking pictures of her motorbikes for some reason. It was just like, yeah, cool,
Bruh,
okay.
Swedish woman wanted your dick, your secret spaceman dick.
Ryan, she wanted my dick.
Oh god!
Because the next thing she says was, if there was any way we could go for a safe ride, I would love to go there, if you know what I mean. Winky face. I was just like, nope.
Breathe in, breathe out.
By the way, I have the whole fucking screenshots of this. I will post them to the Discord if you remind me later.
This is just.
Oh, that is perfect.
This just shows you how fucking crazy these people are. That they can go from, arguing conspiracy theorists to, okay, yeah, I definitely believe that you're a spy for the government who works for places. Oh, I definitely believe that you have these special pictures from another solar system. That's definitely real. I want to fuck you.
Yeah, it literally is just the Mass Effect will bang, okay?
We'll bang, okay?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was just a roller coaster of emotion, and I thought it was very hilarious. But
mate, you were in there with that Swedish bird. I don't know what you're playing about.
Ryan. This goes to show how easy it is to, have someone want your D. So you need to up your game. Do you just need to find some conspiracy theorists?
Join a Flat Earther Facebook group.
Anybody want some of this flat Earth dick?
my flat dick.
If the Earth's flat, why is your dick not flat?
I can only imagine the people's reactions if you did that, like in a Flat Earth group. It's that Twitter that Twitter post that sometimes goes around where it's the Flat Earth Society, and they just say Flat Earth Society has members all around the globe, and then the reply is just, now say that again, but slowly.
Say that again, but slowly, yeah.
If the Earth isn't flat, why are the soles of our shoes flat and not round? Checkmate, atheists.
Get the fuck out.
Wasn't that
I am a pro at trolling people. I mean, most of my convention experience is me shouting at Star Wars fans, I love your Star Trek cosplay.
Yeah.
And then
live long and prosper.
Like, this is Star Wars, and then you do it. You do exactly the same, but the opposite way around to the Star Trek cosplayers, and they get just as triggered.
Don't they get even more annoyed though? The Star Trek ones, I noticed.
Those two are equal. I mean, like most anime fans get pretty triggered as well when you start just blurting out. Like,
I full on did it to an anime fan.
You're that one character from Sword Art Online, aren't you?
I did one where it was a guy dressed as Naruto, and I went, "Oh, I've seen your character. You're that Luffy from One Piece, aren't you?" The kid lost his shit. It was like he wanted to attack me.
They're actually retards. That's something to talk about is the fact that Comic-Con has been cancelled now. MCM London May, which I would have been going to in July, has been cancelled.
That doesn't surprise me.
No,
they've finally gone, we can't keep holding this off and keeping the people's money in our bank account gaining interest.
Because that's probably why they delayed it.
It's probably because in the day they're going to take such a huge financial hit. They're probably just hanging on for as late as possible on just the off chance they can get away with it.
Let's be honest, the only people who would have even been close to being able to go were the people from the UK, and there is a lot of people who come from Europe. You get a lot of German people, you get a lot of French,
and the only
cosplay events that are on. There's
the only acceptable. Well, we all know the only acceptable cosplay would have been someone from a fucking hazmat show.
Just in the hazmat suit. I used to have a hazmat suit that I wore to Comic-Con.
Was it an actual hazmat suit, or just
it was a proper
cosplay
hazmat suit that I went out and bought. I've got masks and stuff, and I got
How much was that?
They're not that expensive.
20 quid. They're not that bad.
I suppose they're usually disposable, aren't they?
Yeah,
Like,
a lot of them are disposable.
big-
It's the ventilation units on the back that are usually the most expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got these
they're
big
reusable.
black rubber gloves. I've still got them somewhere up in the loft. They're like come up to here on my arm.
Those
and
are
I
Ryan's fisting gloves.
In this deep, mate. And
it's his version
these...
of it's his version of CPR. He doesn't do it through the top. He just goes in and massages directly.
grabs the heart and pumps it back. And I got these black stickers, and I'd put Fot Patrol on the back,
Oh,
or Fot Exterminator, and I'd gone around with all my mates. But those hazmat suits they're not too bad, like price wise. I mean, like you're paying a fair bit for like an actual one, but.
Yeah, but they're made to be disposable because obviously with a hazmat suit, once you have done in the hazardous environment, they're meant to be burnt or destroyed or whatever.
yeah.
Well, I mean, we'd have all probably had to wear those because it's still a hospital. The Excel Centre is so.
Yeah,
but they're not taking people in anymore, which is probably because the Saudis who own it have gone. We can't have you like taking over this place forever because you're not going to be paying us like as much as we get from because. Comic-Con, they've got to rake in so much money. They have gun conventions there, they have vape conventions, smoking conventions, nursery convention. They have everything, and these will be like every week. So they must
conventions earn a lot of money because like even though a lot of people seem to think like, oh well, it's more the vendors at these conventions that make a lot of money, when it's like, no, it's not. They have to spend a lot of money.
Spend a lot to be there.
Yeah.
I mean, the
all
artists who want to be at Comic-Con, they spend a ridiculous amount,
and a lot of the time they don't make it back.
They don't. They really have to push it. That's why, like, I'll always buy something from some of my favorite artists when I'm down there.
Like, because I remember reading some of obviously have sometimes cosplayers have booths and things like that, but like, I remember reading.
You've got to be a big cosplayer.
It was a Redditor thing or a 4chan thing or someone who either worked at one of these types of conventions, and they were saying how the reason they left was they was pissed off that you had small artists that were like doing really, really good work, having to pay a load of money, and they was getting stuffed at the back of the room. Yet this cosplayer, who the guy who was running the convention liked, would not have to pay as much, and she'd get like a prime position for everyone to see her.
It's a shame that it is down to vanity and looks. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, there's certain perspectives you can have on the situation, and there are cosplayers who won't do as well because you just not naturally, or you don't doll up as good, and you don't look as good. And it's a horrible thing to say. And like, don't get me wrong, your cosplays can be absolutely brilliant, but if you're not as attractive as that person, like Jessica Negri or all these other female cosplayers there are on the internet, you're not going to get that, that slot. You're not going to get that viewing. And there's just a big thing as well. There's just so much, I find with all cosplayers, there's just this toxic behavior that they all have. It's not every single one of them. A lot of them are very positive. But there's this big problem. There's a very big problem where they're all at each other's throats like fucking hyenas fighting.
There's a brilliant website to look at that. There's a website I found because I think it was back when like there was that cosplayer called Momokun, and there was a lot of well, there was a lot.
She's a straight bitch.
Yeah, well, I've never met these people, so I don't know.
Oh, she's
about them.
American. You will never meet her.
Yeah, but like there was when all this like controversy was happening. I was looking into it just because I was like bored. I was wondering what is this controversy. I want to read about it. And there's a website. I think it's called something like Pretty Little Liars or something like that. And they literally they just document all the controversy that happens between like YouTubers and Twitch streamers and cosplayers and stuff. And you read some of the stuff and like the Momokun one that really like kind of like really set alarm bells is when people were basically like saying, "Oh yeah, she sexually harasses girls,
sexually harassed people, she sexually assaulted people." There's I don't know if it's rape with her, but then there's other ones where people have raped other people at conventions. I think there's a serious problem And the thing is, though, nobody gets done because there's a really big one in the UK con community where there's this. I don't know his name for specifics. I'm not going to name his name because I just have
it's still just alleged kind of thing.
Well, I think there's enough evidence for it not to be alleged, but then it's just never been properly followed.
This is one thing I'll always call to people though. Like, just because there's evidence that people have said, people saying stuff as evidence doesn't necessarily.
I wouldn't trust this guy with my kids. I'm going to put it out there. There are alleged things. So I'm like, I wouldn't have kids and take them.
This is one thing that I have to say that people need to understand is, just because there's evidence, all pieces of evidence are circumstantial until it's put into a court of law and considered an actual piece of evidence. And unless a court of law states that they are what they are, then I'm not going to say that's what they are. Because I've had people I've worked with before, I've had those kinds of things happen to them, and it's ruined their livelihood, even though it was proven that they didn't do anything. I'll talk about that later because we wanted to get onto that kind of subject, and it's about booze and drugs anyway. But with the Comic-Con stuff, there is a lot of shit talking, which is just why.
It's a shit show. It's an absolute shit show. I don't know why people can't just go there and vibe positively. There's a lot of mess there. There's a lot of people who get very, very, very drunk and do a lot of things they really, really, really.
I don't understand how people can get drunk at Comic-Con. It costs too fucking much. It's like £10 for a beer.
That's what I mean. These are the only events some of these people go out to within the year. So you get a lot of money saved up. They don't regularly go to the pub, and if they do, they've got a very large credit card to slap it all on and pay it off.
It's why I always find it funny when we talk about Comic-Con, because you've never been to a Comic-Con, have you, Ollie?
I've never been to any convention ever.
Yeah, so you're hearing this from the outside.
You're not a nerd.
You're hearing this from the outside.
I'm not a nerd. I'm just not that kind of nerd.
Yeah, but you're hearing this obviously from an outside perspective of someone who's been to a few of them, someone who went to a lot of them and actually did the full dress up thing. How fucked up must it sound hearing from an outside perspective some of this kind of shit?
Well, with what Ryan was saying about just kind of cosplayers being at each other's necks, I've seen that a lot, especially with it's YouTubers and stuff as well. I think you get it in pretty much any kind of fandom or even hobby and enthusiasm. Yeah, any kind of community, you always get tribalism of people that like this and people who like this, and these people hate these people, and that's just. And I think that's just. Unfortunately, it's a natural thing that will happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it okay,
no.
But I think it's almost an inevitability when you have that many people enthusiastic about something. You start getting different.
Well, it's fucking different. You always get car guys, people that will live and die by the Honda Civic sword.
It's things for example, a lot of Land Rover guys look down on my Jimny, despite it being fantastic. But then on the same note, I'm in some Suzuki groups, and they'll just take any excuse to bash on Land Rovers. It's guys, you can like both.
Yeah. Why not both?
I must admit, there's some really nice Jeeps. There are some really nice Jeeps, and there are some really nice Land Rovers.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's just. But it's not about which is.
It's always when you went back to there was the obviously the flame wars between the console wars, and it's one thing that I still remember. I still remember going into those conversations. That it was never what are you playing on? It's which is better. It's no, it's not about which is better. I'm playing on this one because it's the one I could fucking afford. They're both.
It's the one I wanted.
Yeah, I play PlayStation because I wanted a PlayStation, because I like PlayStation, but Xbox is good. They had some slip-ups with this generation, definitely, but they have some good games. They have a much better online interface, or at least they used to. From what I've seen of it now, it's a bit trash.
360 generation, absolutely. Back in the Xbox 360 days, Xbox was way ahead, in my opinion. But that didn't mean that I only had. Growing up, I was a PlayStation kid up to PS2. Then I had a PS2 and an Xbox, which I thought was quite cool. Then I got a 360. My eldest brother did have a PS3. I had to try them both, and I prefer the Xbox. I think their controllers are nicer for stars, but otherwise they're pretty much the same. Most of the games are on both. They're more or less identical, apart from maybe slight differences. The water's fractionally better on this one. The shadows are slightly sharper on the one console.
That's only down to when the console was released. I mean, like Xbox 360 was released and PlayStation 3 was meant to be released that same year originally, and then they knocked it back so they could whack Blu-ray in there and up their graphics a little bit, didn't they?
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
And then I remember everyone complaining about the cost of the PlayStation when it first came out, the PlayStation 3. Because I think it was like £450, £500 when it first came out.
Yeah, it's 400.
Everyone complained about it, but then when you look at it, it's like, but when you look at this, the Blu-ray player at that time, there was only like 4 or 5 of them out, and all of them started at £1,000. Yet the PlayStation had a Blu-ray player and was $450.
In with it, yeah.
They made such a net loss on that console. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I like, not to go on too much of a tangent, but like, speaking of like the tribalism and stuff, like I was a fairly hardcore Xbox guy, not because I hate PlayStation, just I decided that I preferred Xbox.
Yeah.
And I must say, I was, granted at this point I was kind of transitioning more to PC anyway, but I was so disappointed with the last generation of consoles, with like the Xbox One. I bought an Xbox One on launch, and I think I had it maybe a year and a half, and I sold it because I was that disappointed with it.
I'd swapped by them. I'd swapped to PC, and I've just never looked back.
Yeah, that's the same here. I'm PC only now.
It's one of those things where this most recent generation, it compared to previous generations especially, was definitely a bit more of a slow burn. And I don't think that was to do with the consoles. I think that was to do with the games released, because when you look when you look at PlayStation 4 and Xbox One when they was first coming out, I'd say for the first year, like, a lot of the first games that were coming out, apart from like launch exclusives, which, let's face it, launch games are never that good. They're always a bit dodgy in jank because it's new console systems. But a lot of the games that were coming out was just remasters. We had remasters literally for like a year and a half, and it was just, look at this game you played on PlayStation 3, now play it on PlayStation 4.
That definitely seemed to be a more PlayStation thing, though, I must say. I don't think the Xbox did it as much.
They didn't do it as much. The thing is that the games they brought to Xbox weren't that good, though, were they? It was like,
we had
an Empire Rise Empire.
There was Rise, which I didn't buy. Yeah. I had Forza 5, which was...
It's Forza. It's a good racing game. That's about all you can say.
It was all right. Like, it wasn't as good as 4. Then there was Battlefield 4, which, to be fair, I did get quite a lot of enjoyment out. A lot of people rag on Battlefield 4.
I preferred number 3, but I only ever played
3
it on
was
PC.
Still better. But
I only played it on PC.
But 4. Maybe it's because I only played it on console then. But like 4 just felt like 3, but with just more stuff.
Well, the thing I didn't like about 4 when I played, because I played Battlefield 3 a fuck ton. Like, if you go back through like my old YouTube stuff, I played it fucking religiously at one point.
Battlefield 3, religiously. I mean, they need to bring back and do another Battlefield 3, because if they did something like that again, I mean, I'd be all over it.
Yeah, so would I. But then I played the beta for Battlefield 4, and it just didn't pull me in. Like, the issue I had was they obviously did the Battlefield 3 Armored Warfare DLC or whatever it was, where it was all about the vehicles, but for me, like, I never really, like, you see me in armor, I'm not really that good with the vehicles. I've never been more of a vehicle guy. I'm much more of an infantryman. Yeah, I'm much more of an infantryman, sniper, or like full-on assault type person. So when I went into Battlefield 4, and it was just like, the vehicles are king in that game. Like, they are king, especially in the beta.
Those vehicles, you're fucked.
I guess Battlefield 3 for the console generation was the first big shooter with vehicles, wasn't it? Like,
there was that, and then there was
the first popular one, rather.
Flashpoint wasn't there, but a Flashpoint
was
nobody really knew about it.
I played the Flashpoint games. I really enjoyed them.
Never played them.
Rising Dragon, I got that.
There's Dragon Rising. There was also Red River.
Do it with console controllers. I can't go back now and play a shooter.
Funnily enough, Operation Flashpoint runs on a lot of the architecture of Armour.
Yeah.
It actually shares a lot of stuff. But like that was big. But I mean that game again had its whole other problems with the console release. But like there were, I think up until that point, the popular shooters were things like COD Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops and stuff. Like it was all very encaged, very fast, just mindless Twitch shooters. And by that I don't mean Twitch TV Twitch. I mean like they were really like fast.
It was all about Twitch reactions kind of thing.
Yeah. Whereas
of Call of Duties, I'd have like every year.
Oh, I did. I stopped buying them after Black Ops 2. That's
Modern Warfare 3 was my last one.
I stopped the one before Modern Warfare 3.
I think that was Black Ops 2, isn't it?
No, that was Black Ops.
Black Ops 1. Black Ops 1 was the last one I've bought. I do have Modern Warfare Remastered, but that's because I got that with PlayStation Plus, and that was fun. That was fun to replay.
I went back to like I played Advanced Warfare mainly just for the storyline and like I thought the story looked really good. I mean, say what you want to say about Kevin Spacey, obviously he's done some
We're not opening that kind of worms.
I'd still say the performance you get from that character on that is brilliant. I really enjoyed it. But if I'm going to download a game and play a Call of Duty game, it's either going to be World at War for the zombies, or
World at War was decent.
Just the Modern Warfare series and play that.
Call of Duty 4 was.
I just do the storylines because they were a phenomenal story.
I know, like Call of Duty is never meant to be like a really, really in-depth, like, oh, look at this really in-depth, detailed story. Like, it's not about that. But the Modern Warfare, like Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3, their story as a whole. They're just good. They're just good Michael Bay popcorn stories, which are really, really fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm close to buying the new Modern Warfare just for the kind of retelling of that story.
Do you want a code for it?
I would love a code for it.
It came with my graphics card, and I'm not interested in it. So if you want a code,
we'll do a rock paper scissors for it.
I'll have you to fight in the tiger pit for it. So fight with our death.
We'll go into armor. We'll just go into like empty map. We'll spawn at either ends of the map, and it's whoever kills each other first wins.
I actually think we need to do that.
Heavy rounds. So
we need to do it. I need to spawn you either end of the map, pistols only, no armor, nothing. Just like. We'll have you fight for it. But what I was saying,
all the way across.
But what I was saying about Battlefield was like it was the first one that kind of made popular like big war game shooters.
Yeah,
and like we take them for granted now. Like they're common now, but back then, like there was Battlefield 2 Modern Combat, which nobody played on 360. It was really good, but no one played it.
Because it was a completely different game on the consoles than it was to the PC, and I think it was even a different game compared to PlayStation 2 generation.
2.
Yeah, on the PlayStation 2. On PlayStation 2, because I played that game on PlayStation 2, and it was literally like I could basically teleport into different people and fight.
Yes.
Was that the same on Xbox 360? Because I didn't play on that one.
It was almost a precursor to Bad. It was like Bad Company minus the story, but the gameplay was very Bad Company.
Forgetting one game which had already done this, and that was Star Wars Battlefront 2. I mean, that had got your big maps, your vehicles. It was an absolute blessed game. Yeah. And then
it shouldn't have taken this long to get a modern version of it either. It shouldn't have taken so long.
It wasn't going to. It wasn't going to. Because the game
there was one in development, wasn't there?
Yeah, at the studio which I was part of.
Was it them? I've seen like the early build footage of it.
Because it was free roam.
It looks really good.
It was free roam.
There's a lot of fuckery there. There's a lot of fuckery on LucasArts' side. I mean,
it was all LucasArts. It was literally all them.
Oh no, there's so many videos. I was watching a bunch of videos, and it's just LucasArts has gone downhill so much. And at the moment, they're just until they get rid of the woman who's at the top. I can't remember her name, Carol something. I think it is. She's just trying to like turn it into this big, fucking politics. Like sexism and all that kind of shit. She's just trying to turn it into that.
Not everything needs. It's the thing about modern entertainment that's really fucking annoying at times. Like, not every piece of entertainment needs to have a message. Not every piece of entertainment needs to have some like deep-rooted kind of thing to talk about. Sometimes that entertainment just needs to entertain. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't need fight very fast.
I don't need to have like. I'm not saying that we shouldn't ever have it. It's like I don't need to always have a story about a lesbian woman trying to find her way in the world. There can be stories of that, and there can be very good stories about that. But when you're making, say, fucking Bad Boys 5 Shoot Up the Man, you don't need a random transgender person in that to make an agenda. We just want the stupid explosions and the gunfighting. There's
actually plenty of films and media which already does that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what the problem is. People are like, oh, I want it. Like, there's too many people, or there's too many people being heard who are like, I want that in our mainstream media. I mean, if you want to see that, you can go and you can find some brilliant films and things. There's like, I think it's a film called Milk, which is about gay rights, like early gay rights and how they were fighting for it. Stuff like that. It's like, go and watch that. If that's what you want to see, this is about real people and it really honors them. I don't need to see some like space gay man like to go even like okay, I don't want to kill the gays anymore. It's like that doesn't like nobody's going to relate to that. Everyone just looks at the people in space and they're like, yo, he's got a laser gun, he's shooting at this guy with a laser gun, and he's got a laser sword, they've got a laser sword, and all that bullshit. That's all. Like, if you go to see a Star Wars film, that's what you're after. It's like,
well, it's like it's even though
you go to see the Transformers.
It's okay to put that kind of politics into a sci-fi setting if you want to. What bothers me is that they're injecting it into an established like fandom where there's all this lore. And it's kind of like you're just taking this really nice thing and then just going, no, but this needs to be in it too, and you just make it ugly and you ruin it. For
Yoda always wore high heels.
Well,
just saying.
Well, I mean, going into it like, with the sci-fi thing though, it's like obviously I'm replaying the Mass Effect trilogy at the minute on stream, so they actually did it quite well with a lot of the like relationships in that, because like I know in the third one you've got like the guy who basically drives the shuttle to help you land on planets and stuff. You end up just talking with him, and you become like friends with him. You can't ever have a relationship with him because it turns out as you get closer to him, his husband died in one of the original attacks back on Earth or something. So you find out about this guy's husband or something, and you have to go and I think you have to like find his dog tags or find where he died so his husband can lay him to rest or something. And like it really
that's a natural way to do it. Treat them as normal people in a normal story, not just like, here's this new main character. Also, he's gay. Like it's kind of just like don't make it.
Don't make it a big thing.
There's like, yes, this is a new character. He is gay, but then they try and make the fact that he is homosexual or has these sexual feelings. They try and make that something which is in the. It affects the already current and like they're trying to make it affect the baseline of these stories, and that's something that the woman who's at the top of LucasArts is trying to do at the moment. She signed somebody who did this other woman who did like a very big, kind of big show, and it was a really good show. Apparently, I'm pretty sure. Like I've not watched it, but it was like very, female power. I don't exactly know how to word this without it sounding like incredibly shit.
Without you trying to sound condescending, basically.
Yeah, I would just sound like a twat, whatever I say. She's hired her in, and then they're basically trying to rewrite the entirety of how the Force works. And it's like, you can't just come in to the fandom and pull this bullshit where you're going to completely change, what this is. And it's like when you watch films like A Last Jedi, and you watch Luke Skywalker throw his father's lightsaber. It's like fucking.
I haven't seen that one. Oh yeah, sorry, Last Jedi, yeah.
Eats it, and he's like, "Get this fucking shit out of here!" And you're like, "Whoa!"
That's not his character.
Yeah, completely wrong.
The entirety of the whole prequels and the main trilogy, the original trilogy, there is there's no way in hell his character would have done that. And it's just where there's been bad writing, where they've been concentrating too much on putting politics into it and like just social justice and just turn it into this big, but what's happening in the world? I'm like, well, I don't really think I give a fuck about what's happening on the world, but I'm trying to see what's happening on Tatooine. So
yeah,
and carry on writing, get some people who actually care for this content to write it. I mean, you're just forcing stuff on people which they're not asking for. If people want to view that, they'll go somewhere where they want to view it.
Yeah.
It's like one day I want to watch Star Wars and I want to watch Star Wars. The next day I may want to go and watch Milk or, some other film about how people gained their rights, in any circumstance, and I'll go and watch it. One day I might want to watch a war film. But I don't want to go and watch a war film about a factual time like Black Hawk Down or Saving Private Ryan, even though Saving Private Ryan is like fictional places that they're going to. I don't want to have like some bullshit.
Faithful though.
Yeah, it's faithful, but I don't want to have some bullshit like crap put in there that's completely unrealistic for the date and age. It's like when they're saying, oh, but there's this film, like I think we've spoken about this a couple of times, like there's this film and this TV show like Vikings or something, say, or I don't know, something based in an actual place on actual people and an actual race of people at a specific time. And they're going, oh, but there's not enough people of Jamaican heritage or Middle Eastern heritage. It's like, they're in the middle of Scandinavia, you fucking mongrel.
You don't need representation on every media platform.
No.
They're literally talking about the fact that they have only just found the UK and the UK as it was at that time in like England and like the kingdoms from Scandinavia. Of course, there's not going to be anybody from the fucking Middle East or Africa.
England wasn't even England at that point. It was still still separated.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And it's like, it's not specifically Vikings, but it's other shows within that kind of genre. It's
yeah, Vikings is the only one that I've actually watched part of. So
yeah, it's like, which Footwick is coming to everyone and going, this is a thing. And somebody sat there either at the production company and they're going, shit, boys, what were we thinking? We were trying to make a factual, like at least semi-factual show, but we're not going to do that anymore because we need to put a Hispanic person in the middle of medieval Scandinavia.
It's like we said previously, because it was that game we talked about, Kingdom Come Deliverance, how people were complaining about that. But it's the way we were saying how if you please 10,000 people and they're happy with your product, you'll maybe have one or two people talk about it being good. If you piss off 100 people with a product, 90% of them will complain about it, but that's just in the nature. Moving on anyway from that, because we've been through this, quite a few times. We've talked about this stuff. So I wanted to bring us back. Obviously, near the end of last on Saturday, we ended up talking about like drugs and booze and the culture of it all. And I have like probably got a lot more stories about this kind of stuff than most, mainly because I spent a year working as a security guard at a club where we live, which before I joined was well known for being a drug den. I've heard every excuse under the book as to why two people are in the lavatories together. I've seen some weird shit. But like, there was this one. I'll go through one story just to give you the kind of like explanation as the bullshit that I'd hear. So I used to, a lot of the time I'd patrol. So where it was, we had a back exit, which was a smoking area. You could walk through, and then you could get like to the patio, which was the front entrance kind of thing, and then we had like toilets in between. I'd always check the toilets every time I walked past, every time, because we had a manager's rule, and the manager's rule stated, if there's more than one person in a cubicle, it doesn't matter what they're doing, whether it's drugs, sex, talking, pissing. If there's multiple people in a cubicle, they get kicked out. That's it. And managers rule in places like this. That's it. If they say it, that happens.
Do you want to go have a chat in and laugh? Do you want to go have a chat?
People do it because it's a quiet area. People do it because it's a quiet area, because the smoking areas get really loud as well. But, like, I walked into it one day and I heard people in the toilet, peeked over the top, saw drugs blatantly. These toilets didn't have very good locks, so if I just went bang, the door would open. So I just did that. Bang, door opened. They all fucking shit themselves. Quickly try and hide the drugs. Come on, both you need to leave. Oh, we're just talking because his dad died today, so I wanted to talk to him about it. And I said, why has he come to a nightclub if his dad died today? And why are you both doing drugs if his... I mean, fair enough.
Why have you got his father's ashes?
Yeah. But then, all of a sudden...
You got his ashes on your face.
Yeah, all of a sudden, complete 180. Oh, it wasn't that. I was sucking his dick.
I'm trying to cheer him up, you see, Arthur. I was trying to cheer him up.
But it was just one of those scenarios where I just looked at him, I was like, oh, either way, you're still leaving. You still got to go.
Yeah, that's still not allowed.
I think that's the thing, that there's this, like, I mean, I can't see from my perspective what would possess somebody in any situation to think, I want to go to a nightclub. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, drinking, I enjoy drinking a lot, so I will go out and get shit-faced, but I just don't see that, like, the appeal to, like, I'm going to have to go to a club, secretly take drugs in, secretly then take them in the toilets, and, you know, then continue my night on. And it puts you in such a vulnerable state physically, due to the drugs you're taking,
as well as when they're mixed.
You'll do, and people you'll get into fights with. Well, you might not get into fights, but
that was actually surprisingly one thing that, like, everyone used to think, especially when I started working security, that I was going to be dealing with fights every night. And that was the least of my concern. I think I only dealt with maybe one fight every month, if that, and a lot of the time it was just drunkards pushing each other. It wasn't actually a serious fist fight. The only serious fight I got involved with was these two guys that they full on went for each other in the bar. It wasn't like pushing, it was full on fists, and luckily I was doing patrol with it was a guy who I don't want to say his name because I don't know what he's doing nowadays, but he was basically 6'8", built about the same kind of shape as me, tattoos on his face, but he was one of the kindest guys I've ever known and ever worked with. He was a really nice guy, but he was just massive. And I was patrolling with him. These guys started fighting. We both just grabbed hold of them and threw them outside, through the back entrance. And we split them up. I pushed one up one way, he pushed one down the other way, went to step back in, and they just ran back at each other and started fighting outside the venue. And we literally just went, they're off premises now, so we just shut the door.
Yeah.
We're not insured to stop them fighting out there. That's the police's job. But then the police came round asking us about it, and we said, well, there was off premises. Oh, well, it's outside your premises' entrance. And we went, oh no, that's an exit. No one can come in that entrance, so it's not part.
It's like a fire exit.
Yeah. And there's, oh, well, it's still something you should deal with. And we literally said to them, we're not insured to deal with problems on the street. That's your job.
That's a big problem though, is because there's not enough funding for the police. And I mean, there's so many, even now there's so many people, and like, if I see another person put in "fuck the police" on their like page in the UK, I'm like,
in the UK as well, yeah.
It's like, are you taking the mick, mate? Like, don't get me wrong, like in America, I know it's a completely different story, but that's totally
because they're dealt with on a state by state kind of thing, where certain states can have
different situation.
Real deep rooted issues.
Like, in the UK, there are people who are like this. I'm like, the only reason you're sat here saying "fuck the police" is because you break the law. And the law is there for a reason. They're like, oh, but it's a stupid law. It's like, yes, and look at yourself. I didn't see you passing like a gazillion, GCSEs at A+. No, you got a couple of D's in.
I fucking hate it when people do that, because I've had to deal with the police on different sides of the position. I've had to deal with them on when I've been a victim. I've had to deal with them when I've been not the victim, but luckily it was just like slap on the hand type stuff. And I've also had to deal with them in a professional aspect with work and security. And 90% of the time, they're great. That you can tell they're all just really trying to do their job, but there's a lot of jadedness in it. In the family, we do have police officers, and there was a wedding, so there was a lot of police officers at this wedding, and I spoke to a lot of them there, and there is a lot of jadedness in the force because of the lack of funding, the lack of people, and all that kind of stuff. But every now and then, just like any kind of workplace, there are pricks, and I was one of the unlucky guys where pretty much every police officer I had to deal with working security was that prick. And it was worse because we had a thing where we'd take drugs off people. If we searched someone and we took the drugs off them, they were already leaving, but we still had to make a note of what we took off them, and we had to basically write down what it was, put it in an envelope, and that envelope would then go to management. So basically all that would then go to the police, apparently to be checked and see if there is kind of a big movement happening. It probably never did. It probably just all went in the bin at the police office. But we had a thing where if we caught someone with more than 3 single portions, because everyone always used to have them in single baggies, if we caught someone with more than 3 single portions on them, then we had to hand them over to the police, because that at this point wouldn't be seen as this is my personal stuff to do. This was I'm going to be selling this. And we had it once where we caught one guy. He had about, I think it was like 5 or 6 baggies, as well as a mixture of pills. So this guy was obviously dealing, because this guy was complete stone cold sober. No booze, no drugs. He was stone cold sober. The guy was drinking fucking Diet Coke. That's how sober he was. Yeah. So we had to take him out. We had to get the police involved. We had to radio the police through the citywide police radio that we have. Then to get them to come over, handed the guy over. They asked what was going on. We said, "Oh, he's dealing. Here's all the drugs that we found on him." And they literally went, "Oh, we don't care." Binned the fucking drugs and just told him to fuck off.
It's ridiculous.
That's specific people, that is, though, isn't it? That's they just. I think there's so much writing up nowadays because we hold them liable to stuff nowadays. Like, I mean, and I think that's the big problem is we don't just give them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, the police used to go around and they'd kick the shit out if you did something wrong, but you wouldn't see as many people. Obviously, that doesn't work all the time, and there will still be people who will do crime, but there was a hell of a lot less crime in that kind of way. I mean, like, you see these people going out and protesting and getting violent. The police should just be allowed to go in there and kick the fucking shit out of them, in my opinion. Because they're out there disturbing everyone.
It's a very dangerous thing you've got to understand, though, because I do understand the whole, especially from your side, growing up. My dad lived in a rough area, and if you got involved with the police when you was a kid, you basically got clipped around the ear hole by the copper, and they'd take you to your parents' house, who would then give you a clip around the ear hole.
Yeah.
But when you are going into a different thing, like especially with like rioting and stuff, you've got to be very careful as to how you deal with that, because a lot of the time, if you are to go into a protest that's getting violent, to then be violent, you are perpetrating the thing that they're rioting a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And
I mean, like,
it's a very fine line. It's a very, very fine line.
If they find somebody kicking the shit out of somebody else, they should be able to use as much force as they need. There's too much now. Oh, yeah, I still think there's a lot of limitations on them, though. There's still a lot of, and there's always consequences. Like, because you'll see them apologizing to people on the internet and stuff. Like, there'll be apologies put out there. Oh, we accidentally manhandled this person who was trying to throw a brick through this business owner's window. It's like, that's not acceptable. And I think that's like rioting as a whole is just so fucking stupid. Because the majority of the time,
rioting is mob justice at the worst level.
Yeah, a majority of the time they're rioting because of the government. but a majority of the time they are damaging fellow citizens. Like stuff, they were smashing shop windows.
What was it? There was
university windows and stuff.
There was all the riots that happened a handful of years ago, back when I was in uni.
London.
There was London,
where they burned down the shop.
Yeah, there was London, Birmingham, and it all stemmed from the Black Lives Matter movement in America, and the riots came over here for some reason, and they're all there basically. All the people that were getting interviewed for the riots and stuff. There was a report from Sky News who he probably had the biggest bollocks in the entire group. He would walk into the middle of these violent protesters with a fucking phone recorder to walk up to the guy shouting the loudest and ask him why he's doing it. Right in the fucking middle of all these violent people. And a lot of
bricks
them
over a head.
Yeah, literally, that's the kind of stuff he was walking into. The police told him not to because they couldn't protect him, but he didn't care. He just carried on anyway. And all of these people that he was interviewing, they'd just say the same thing. Oh, we're just fighting back from the government. You know, they're taking all this stuff and all this. And it was all just kind of nonsensical anarchist type fight back the power.
Bullshit.
But they are damaging. They're just damaging local businesses and small shops. Like, they weren't even damaging things like, say, fucking Tesco, which is a massive company. They were damaging. They were damaging the local corner shop.
I think it was over. I'm pretty sure a lad got shot in London because he had a fucking gun, so the police shot him dead. I seem to remember that's what it was over, and he was.
And everyone's like, he was innocent. He's like, but he had a gun. It's like,
yeah, it's not America. You can't have them here.
Even then, in America, they do exactly the same thing. If you've got a gun, there's so many videos I've watched where they and you watch this person trying to pull the gun on the police.
This is where
it's a delicate one.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to talk.
A few dodgy ones.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to talk about the US stuff because when you watch a lot of that stuff, there's a lot of times where there's a guy who is white in the suburbs who's walking around open carry because he's just been on a hike where there is known tigers or lions or whatever, and the coppers pull him over and they don't even ask to take his firearm off of him. Yet there'll be stuff where it's in a not so nice part of neighborhood. I'm not saying the worst parts, but a not so nice part, and there's a black guy who's got a concealed carry and a permit, and they're forcefully pinning him down to take his gun off of him.
There's a lot less of those than you actually know. There's a lot more where they are actually, I think the main ones I'm talking about are the ones where these people do have guns and they shouldn't have guns.
Yeah.
These people are illegally carrying them, but there's all these excuses used. I think, to be honest, don't get me wrong, I am quite... I do airsoft, so I'm like, I like guns. I think guns are quite cool, and I think
I like guns.
In theory, people should be allowed.
It's one of the fun things we find
if they are responsible.
Yeah, it's the fun thing we find with this. Us three here, all from the UK, we are legally not allowed guns, but I think we all agree the gun laws.
No, you are allowed guns under certain conditions.
Under very strict conditions. I think we all agree here.
I think we're
the gun laws here
the other way.
Yeah, the gun laws here are way too strict, in my opinion. That's not me. That's not me saying I want a gun because I want a gun to protect myself. That's me saying I want a gun because I want to be able to go to a shooting range and just let off some steam.
Shoot. Yeah. I think that's the thing, though. It's the problem is you've got this problem. It's like when you're at school and your teacher's going to you. That bell's for me, you can't go until I say so. And there's this one twat in the corner of the classroom who won't shut up. So you're stuck there and you can't go. So people miss their buses. I've actually come a fraction of a thing to missing a school bus because some twat who doesn't care was talking. And that's what's happened in the UK, and it's happened in a lot of countries, in Australia especially. There's people who have got their hands on weapons, sometimes not legally, such as Dunblane, which was a gun which was obtained illegally after the person had been checked, and they said, no, you're not mentally fit to have a firearm.
No, I thought Dunblane was committed because that was what gave us the pistol ban.
But he wasn't allowed a pistol. The youth who had the pistol in Dunblane wasn't allowed one, and he got it from his dad, who knew somebody who got it for him. He shouldn't have had that pistol. He'd been checked. There was another one which was I watched a documentary on it where a guy had like an AK, well, a Chinese version of the AK, and
fucking shoot at the Ariana Grande concert.
Well, that was just a bombing. That was just a bombing. That was just a bombing.
No, there was a shooting at the one.
There was also a shooting there as well.
I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a shooting.
I think, but then with all of these, it's getting that balance. So obviously, the problem is with the shootings. Like the majority of the shootings that have caused us not to have guns nowadays aren't terrorist acts. They're closer to domestic terrorist / mental issues. I think
just to quickly interject, the Ariana Grande I've just checked was just a bombing. We are incorrect.
Just bombing, yeah.
We're incorrect.
They've actually caught his brother recently, and they actually got him shipped back over for trial because his brother helped him make the bomb. The guy who went and bombed it. So hopefully he'll be sent down for a while.
Yeah,
or already has. But like I said, with shootings, a majority, I think the last big shooting I can remember, and this was actually within my lifespan, was the Raumote shootings, where he went on a spree and he didn't shoot many people. He shot a few.
I remember that because that was in
I think I was in end of primary school era time. It was something I still remember.
I remember people in Facebook trying to get him let off or something. I was like, what the fuck is
he shot himself? He killed himself. He killed himself right at the end. He shot himself with his shotgun.
Luckily with this shooting, there was 2 deaths, 2 injuries, and one of those deaths obviously included Raumote.
Yeah.
There was one, the one in Sweden. The guy was dressed as police. He just walked into a fucking school with guns. The worst thing with that was, obviously, people just heard gunshots and ran, and then saw a guy who looked like police with a gun and ran to him for help, not knowing he was the shooter.
Yeah,
and then he shot him.
Oh god, that one was bad. But
I think the control's got to be there.
Well, I was going to say the problem is, as someone who's an avid and current shooter, and someone who's tried to go through the hoops to get a firearms license and failed, is that a lot of these laws and regulations only affect the law-abiding. At the end of the day, it's illegal to kill people. But people are still doing it. It's illegal to own these guns, but people are still getting them and committing crime with them. If you put all these stupid, strict regulations, all you're doing is hurting the law-abiding, whilst the criminals just carry on doing it as they were anyway.
They're still getting them through the black market.
Here's a funny statistic. We haven't had pistols since, I can't remember if it's 1990 or 1992. We haven't been able to legally own them. It's 92. Today, 42% of all firearm-related crimes are committed with a pistol still.
That might be wrong. So Dunblane was 96. So it was 24
Whenever the
years
semi-auto pistol, look up when the semi-auto pistol ban was.
Well, it's like a lot of the firearms, like pistols that are being used, aren't there a lot of the time just firearms from wars and stuff that were considered defunct or neutered, and they're just
not even that.
Oh, they're not, because I know from what I've read, a lot of them just get bored out and stuff like that.
There's obsolete calibers, but there's a lot of very fine. Like at the end of the day, you don't see someone committing a mass shooting with a fucking flintlock, do you? It's like,
how about you, prick?
Parry this, you casual.
But it's frustrating because it's like, for example, I could buy, as an adult that is over the age of 18 in the UK, I could just go out on the internet and I can buy a crossbow with more energy than a fucking 357 Magnum. No questions asked. It could kill you from hundreds of meters away. How many people have you seen being killed by that? No problem. The problem is that when all these laws get put into place, is that they're just penalising people who weren't going to be the problem anyway, and that's why it hits home to me, because I've been affected by a lot of these regulations.
Yeah,
it's a shock. It's a shock. It's a shock reaction as well. So
it's a
shooting, and the government are like, shit, we've got to look like we're doing something. So
that's exactly
let's just stop all these law-abiding people from getting these guns.
Yeah, it's
obviously a few of these people have been law-abiding people who own the guns, which is a a massive shame because they're ruining it for everyone
else. It rarely
happens. There's always outliers in data, though. Yeah, there's always outliers in data. One thing I just want to pop in, because obviously we really need to start closing up, so I do think we should continue this conversation another one, because let's face it, we all have things that we'd like to talk about in this section, because we're all quite, I'd say, passionate about the way gun laws and stuff is handled in this country. So let's just close it off here for now. We'll continue this at a later date. We could probably get a bit more information about other statistics and other stories that have happened, because there's a lot to open up here, and there's a big can of worms that can open up for this. So for all those who have watched and all those who have listened, because obviously we are on Spotify and things like that nowadays, thank you very much. Any questions, queries, information, stories, anything you want to send us, you can just send us an email at contextneededpodcast@gmail.com. We all do check on it and we all do look at it. But from me, Kyle, I will see you guys later, and then Ryan and Ollie.
Read Berserk now.
Fuck you, Griffith.
Don't be a cunt.
That's a very important one. I think that's a rule that I like people to live by in general. Just don't be a cunt.
Don't be a cunt. Don't be a cunt. Read Berserk and stay safe. Just vibe, bro.
All right. Well, we thank you very much for listening or watching, and we will be back on Saturday at 9 p.m. See you later.
Bye.
Bye bye.